I thought I would talk a little bit about a program, a free program called Audacity. It's a very useful program for editing any audio tracks, appending audio tracks together. Also very useful for removing the audio tracks, stripping the audio tracks off of video clips that contain both uh, images and audio. And the good news is it's a free program. You can get it basically by going on the internet, going up to any search engine and type Audacity, Audacity. And if we do, for example, a Google search, what comes up, the version we want, Audacity is available from a whole bunch of people, but the best one is to go get it from the original, which is Audacity at sourceforge.net. And if we just come down and click on download, this takes us to a page. There are two versions of Audacity currently out there. One is what they call the stable version, 1.2, and they've been developing a 1.3 version, which has actually been a beta version for quite a while. It's very stable. It works very well. And I don't know, they're presumably coming out with a version 2, which will incorporate most of the features of version 1.3. The good news is it's available for Windows, it's available for a Mac, and it's also available for Linux and Unix. So in our particular case, we're going to get it for Windows 7. So we just simply click on that. Takes us to the Windows 7 page. Gives us a bunch of system requirements. Tells us a lot about what's going on here. And probably worth reading all of that if you're really interested. Okay, so the current version, as we said, is the beta. And if we want to download that, we just click on download. And it brings us to the Audacity version 1.3.13 installer. And it's an exec file, 13.8 megabytes. So if we click on that, it's going to basically download it to our to a download file folder or wherever you normally have your downloads being directed to with your browser. I'm using Firefox in this particular case. I'm not going to download that for you because you probably have done those before. It's important if you're downloading this to get two additional plugins and libraries. One is the LAM MP3 encoder. This allows us to save the audio files that we create in MP3 format. And the other one that's useful to get is the FFmpeg import-export library. This allows us to open files with other formats, such as AC3, M4A, and WMA. So download those also while you're downloading the main program. Now, all three of these get downloaded into presumably some folder on your desk or on your desktop. The recommendation next is to install the Audacity main program first. After you have it installed, then go back and install the LAM MP3 encoder and the FFmpeg import-export library. All of them come as have installation wizards, and they basically know where they want to go, even on a 64-bit or 32-bit computer. The files are all all made to run on 32-bit, so they actually download into your C drive and your program files, parentheses, x86 folder, which is the 32-bit programs that are available on your computer. Okay, so let me close that window. And once you do get it installed, it installs an icon on your desktop. It looks like headphones with sound in between. Double click on it, and it opens up Audacity. Now the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that that MPEG encoder and the FFmpeg library is available. So to do that, you want to go up to Edit. You want to come down to Preferences, and in the Audacity Preferences window that opens, you want to click on Library. And let me blow this up for you. You click on Library, and then you want to locate the MP3 library version, which is the Lamb MP3 library. So you click on Locate, and it should be in the right location. If I click on it, it should tell you that the location of this critical driver file, all right, is basically in the plugins folder for Audacity, and it's this Lamb folder, and you basically just need to click on Open, and when you do it, that will establish the link and it will know it's there, and then you just click on OK, and it will properly install it. Similarly with the FFmpeg library, you click on Locate, and if it finds it, it'll look automatically for the right library. And if it finds that library, you'll get this message saying it's automatically detected the library. Do you still want to locate them manually? And you can say no to that. All right, and then say OK to get out of this. So now you've got the program properly installed with the proper plugins. So the next question is, how do we use the program? Well, let's say we want to open up a file, an audio file, and work on it. So we go up to File, and we come down to Open. And we get a browser window, your typical any type of browser window. And we have to locate the our music folders. In most cases, we keep them under Libraries and then under Music. And we have music in all directions here. Let's see. Let's pick up something here. Just pick out one song. In this case, it's an MPEG-3 to start with, and we click on Open. And it opens up the song. Now you notice there are two tracks here. There's a left track and a right track, assuming we're working with a stereo system. If it's mono, obviously you're only going to get one track. Now to play the music, there's a playhead up here. And all you have to do to play it is click on the little play button, which is the green triangle. And when I click on that, it starts playing the music back. Now, I don't know if you can hear the music. I'll take my earphone off so you can, hopefully, my earphones will be picking up some of the sound of the music. Now, if you want to pause the music, all you have to do to pause it is click on the little pause button. Now, the interesting thing is, you see, as the music was playing, you were getting this little green playhead coming across. It's a green with a little fine line coming down. We can make these tracks look bigger to see. If we come down and just put our cursor to where it changes to a double-headed arrow and click and then drag down, all right, that stretches them out, makes it a little easier to see the track. This is useful because, you know, you can tell this is pretty much one song here, and when we get here, it's going to stop. So if we pause that flying head, which right now is located right here, where my cursor is, all right, if I play again, if I want to resume play, having paused it, you click on the pause button a second time. Do not click on the play button. If you click on the play button, the head goes all the way back to 0 time. By the way, this is the time axis up here in seconds. And so to continue playing, I would just click on play.
He invented a wonderful drink. They made it out of hops. He must have been an admiral of salt.
Now, if I pause it again, if I also, one is playing, if I hit the stop button, then it does, the playhead goes all the way back to the 0 time. Okay, so this is the playhead. And if you want to play you want to start the play, say here at 1 minute and 30 seconds, all you have to do is click with your cursor in the timeline. You don't want to click down in here. You want to click up in the light gray area where the timeline is. And if I start there, it will start playing. It moves the print head over to that location, and then it starts playing again from that location. Okay, so it's very convenient to move around within a song. Okay. Now, a couple other features here. Suppose we want to edit a song, we want to get rid of parts of this. For example, maybe we like the first part of the song and we don't like the rest of it. Well, there's a series of 6 little commands up here in a group, and the first command is called the selection tool. The second one is the envelope tool. The third one is the draw tool. Then there's a zoom tool, there's a time shift tool, and there's a multi-tool mode. All right? And you notice when you're playing the music, the tracks show up here in green. You can change these scales around to make them vertical or horizontal. But it's showing you the volume of the left channel, the volume of the right channel. And if I hit play again or resume, and you watch that area, you'll see it's bouncing around to show us our levels. Okay, so in this case, if we want to cut out a section of the music, the easiest way to do it is to basically select, say, this middle group of the music. And the way to make a selection here is click on the little selection tool. And once you click on it, all you have to do is you get what looks like a little I when you're in the track here. You see, it sort of looks like a capital I. You sort of locate that where you want the selection to start, and you click. And when you do, you see it adds a thin black line. Now, if you hold the mouse down and drag it in, say, this direction, let's drag it all the way over to, let's drag it to the middle here. Okay? So that area right now, that piece of the music has been selected. If you don't like exactly, or you need to adjust the edges of the selection, if you move your cursor up to the edge of the selection, it turns into a hand with a finger pointing. If you click and drag, you can extend the selection or you can shrink the selection. So that's the way you could set where it's going to start, where it's going to stop. Same thing on the other end. Move your cursor over until it turns into the hand, and then we can extend it out, say, to fit that area right there. All right, so this is the area selected. Now, you could use, if I were to go up and click on trim, and I think under edit there's a trim, there's a trim command. If I were to do that, it would throw away everything before the selection and everything after the selection. In my case, I want to throw away the selection. So what I can do is come up to edit, come down to delete, and now the interesting thing here is if I click on delete, nothing happens. And you say, oh, what the hell happened there? But what you have to do here, let me get out of there for a second, we have the music paused. A lot of the edit functions don't work when you're in pause mode. You have to stop the music playing. So if you do that and nothing happens, click on the stop button. All right. When you click on the stop button, now if you go back into edit, come down to delete, and if you watch our selected area in the middle, when I click, you see it disappears. So it has cleanly cut that out of the selection. So now if I tell it to start playing from here, I'll get a very nice even flow of the music. There's no startle, no jaggedness to the cut.
3, 4, 5. Hey, he must have been an adolescent.
So that very cleanly allows you to make a selection. Now, let's say that you got it down to the point where you're happy with what you just did, and you play it through, and this is what you want basically for your final cut or trim song. So the easiest way now to do something with this is to basically select it all at this stage. Or again, you could just put the selection tool down at the 0 area, bring it all the way up to the end. Notice how the music fades out at the end here. You can control the amount of fade. If you want more or less fade, there's actually an effects tool up here that allows you to fade in and fade out. All right. Now, so we made this selection now, and I want to save out. Let's say I don't want to save the entire part of the tune. I want to just save this first part. So I'm going to select from there to here. And now what happens is I want to save this as a new song. So I can go up to File, and I can come down. If I did export, it would export the entire song that you see left as a new song. But if I do export selection, it's going to make a savings of just what I've selected. So I do that, and then it opens up a window. And again, you can point this anywhere you want to save your music. I save things in subfolders under music. But if I were just to put in, for example, junk, and I'm going to save it as the MPEG-3 as long as I've got that. Just use a bunch of formats you could save it as, but MPEG-3 is a very good format, playable and usable by almost all other programs. So I just say save, and it takes it a second to save it. Okay, and it did. All right. So then I can go up and go to edit, come down to select and say none. All right, and we're back to that situation. Let me shrink this window up a little bit, back up to there. Now let's say we wanted to bring back that track that we just saved, or we wanted to bring in a second song. All right. You would think you would go up and say File, Open, but if you do that, it opens up a whole new version of Audacity. You get a whole new window with just a single new track on it, or a new stereo track there. So instead of using the Open command, what you want to do is go to Import. And go to Import Audio. Okay, click on that. You'll get the same type of browser window. And let's see, is that same damn song there that I saved, or did I save it to a different folder? I guess I saved it to a different folder. Let's say we want to import, let's import one more song here. I'm just going to say open. It reads it in. Now you see it comes in as a separate track. And the interesting thing is, if I tell it to play at this point, it's going to be playing both of these tracks. Now, if I don't want it to play the upper track, and all I want to hear is this bottom track, I need to mute this upper track. So the way I do that, there's a mute button right over here. And if I click on it, you see it takes that track out. So now when I tell it to play by hitting the play button, the head's going to go across, but we're only going to hear what's on this lower tracks that we're playing with. And if we want to bring it back, we click, and we can mute this one also. If we want to get rid of a track, there's an X up here that you can X out, and it will delete that track. And again, that X out will not work if you've been playing the head and have paused the head. You have to be in a stop mode for that to work. So one of the things we want to do here is let's say we want to take, this is one song, and we want to add this song to the end of it, which means we want to take this track and move it and put it up at the end here of the upper track. So the easiest way to do that is we need to select this whole bottom track. The easiest way to select it is just click on it. You see it turns a darker gray, which means it's selected. And then all we have to do is go up to Edit and come down to where we can either do Cut or Copy. Let's say we do Cut. And then we have to say where do we want to put it. Again, as long as I have my selection tool over here, all I have to do is click. Let's say I click right there. So I want it to start right at that spot. So now I just say Edit, and I say Paste, and it puts it in right there. Okay. Now if you decide you don't really like it right there, you really wanted to bring it up and fill up this gap, you can easily do that by coming up to this tool, which is the Time Shift tool. You click on that, then just go over here, click and drag, and it drags the whole track up to where it meets, matches. Okay? And if I then, and now because this track down here now is empty, I can get rid of it. So I'm just going to click down there. All right, and I'm going to say Edit, Select None. All right, and now we have it here. Okay, now you'll notice there's still a little bit of a gap there. I didn't quite get it exactly where I wanted it. So if I click on that tool again and click and drag it, there we go, that'll close up the gap. Now it does leave a mark there because to indicate that these came from two initial different songs. Okay. And if I play it, it's going to come out of one song. It's going to fade the music down.
The Lord bless Charlie Mops.
Okay, it's fading the music down now to where the music has just about stopped, and then it's going to pick it up with the other track. Now I paused it again. See, so now we've got this line that shows us that this is the separation between this song and the second song. But there's no stopping. If you play it, it plays seamlessly from one to the other. Sometimes we like to have the new song come in with a bit of a fade to it. We might want to, right now it's going to come out of dead silence and it's going to go to full volume on the second song. And we might not want to do that. We might want to bring it up. We may want to fade into that to that music. If we want to do that, we can just select. Again, we go back to our selection tool up on top, and we can just click anywhere in here. Maybe say we want it to fade for maybe around 10 seconds, which is about what I've picked there. Then we can go up to the, and I have to go to the stop mode again to do this. And then we go up on top here to the effects, and we can come down to the fade in. Okay, and you see what it did is it basically changed the volume of just that little area that we had selected. So now when you play it, it's gonna go from full volume down to nothing, and then come back up slowly, back up to full volume for the second song, which is kind of useful.
Beer, 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 tiddly beer, beer, beer.
And unfortunately,
Charlie Mops.
you probably can't hear what's going on there, but I'm fading down to nothing. See if you can pick up what's on my earphones. And then it's going to start, once it moves over that center section, it should start picking up again. There it comes.
Was down the Glen one eastern morn to a city.
Okay. So I hope that picked up with the microphone. So basically, that's the way you fade in and out. All right. And if you've selected an area, if you click anywhere outside of it, it deselects that area and selects a new edge here. And again, you can drag a selection in either direction if you want to select. And if you want to get rid of that line altogether, that selection line, all you have to do is go up to Edit, come down to Select, and say None. There are, by the way, shortcuts for all these things, which I haven't learned yet. Okay. All right, so that got rid of the selection line, but there's still this line here, which is the line that was between the two songs initially. All right, and that gets maintained. Now, one of the things you'll notice here is that this upper track has gone off the screen. You see there's a scroll bar down here, and if I scroll it, it'll let you scroll to the end of it. There's a couple of useful commands. Sometimes you really want to get in tight and see, I want to select it right at the point, on one beat sort of. So I can magnify this whole area. There are 4 little magnify tools here. There's a zoom in, there's a zoom out, there is a fit to selection. In other words, if I've selected a piece of it, it fits just that selection to fit on the screen. And the other one is fit to project. So right now the project is these 2 songs. So if I click on fit project, see what it does? Now it basically, all the music is fitting nicely on the screen without running off the edge. If I make a selection, let's say I select from here to there, and I tell it to fit the selection, it stretches that area out to fill the screen. Okay, so that there's a lot more over here, and there's a lot more on the other side. All right. That's back to fit project. Get rid of the selection. Now, if I just want to zoom in on an area, I can basically just click on the zoom and find where the hell it's zoomed to. Right there, say. And I can keep zooming in. All right, so sometimes you want to get that accurate. You want to get, if this is somebody talking and then this is where the music starts, you want to perhaps get rid of the person talking, but keep this area. So if I wanted to trim this, for example, I could just say, take this area right here, zip over to that area right there, come up to Edit and Delete. All right, and it gets rid of all that stuff in between. So it makes it very easy to edit the tunes at this point. There are a whole bunch of other effects you can do. Equalize is one that people tend to use, equalization. If you have music where you have a very low volume in part of the music and very high in the rest, and you want to sort of make it sound more continuous, equalization will work for that. And there's a ton of other effects which I haven't even started to play with yet. Yeah. All right. So the idea here was just to give you a little bit of an idea of what happens here in terms of the various possibilities. Oh, one thing I should mention while we're here is up here, and again in the default settings, I should look at the default settings. Exit preferences and go up to like playback. Now, let's see, recording. I'll get you there. Devices, here we go. Okay, so we're under Audacity preferences, devices, and depending on what you have hooked up in your system, you can, what do you want to use for playback? In this particular case, I'm playing the sound back into my earphones. So you would pick earphones. If you have speakers plugged into your computer, you could choose speakers and it would play the sound back into speaker instead of into your earphones. Okay. And likewise for recording, I have a headset microphone I'm recording on, but you could record through any of the possible devices, recording devices that are hooked up on your computer. So it could be a microphone jack. You could be recording with a microphone plugged into the USB port. Whatever you have as a microphone would show up on here, and you choose whichever one is appropriate. All right. The other one I wanted to look at up here, if you set the preferences, and it'll always come in for those preferences, but if you do want to change them, you can change them up here. This first one is the output device, and this is the input device. So the output device is the earphones at the moment. You could pick any of the other. You could pick speakers if you wanted instead of the earphones. And likewise for the microphone, you could choose whatever available microphone options you have. You can record in stereo or mono, and you can adjust the volume of the recording. These are volume sliders. And usually I put them up full, and I assume people will, if you record at a higher volume, then people, when they play back, can tune it down, and you'll get less noise. Usually better to go that way than the other way. All right. Any other features here we ought to look at? I think that's probably about it for the moment. Oh, if you want to save a project, if you've been working on a project and you want to get out of here, if you do File and then Exit, it'll ask, do you want to save your changes before closing? If you say yes, then it opens up a window, and again, you can save the project to whatever you want, but you can give it a project name. It adds automatically the extension AUP for, I assume, Audacity project. Okay, I'm not going to save it. In my case, I'm just going to X out and say no. And then we're out of Audacity. So really that's all there is to the program. It's a pretty simple little program, but very complicated in the sense if you want to use all the special effects and all of that. But it's easy to get up and get started using, but it would take you a long time, I think, to master all of the options that are available to you. So that's it for now. Thanks for taking a look.